I'm going to speak about the movement because my journey in 9/11 truth is now 20 plus years old. And my voice on 9/11 is really my documentary films. So if you're looking for facts on 9/11, first and foremost, I hope you go out there and you check out Loose Change Final Cut and then my follow-up film, Fabled Enemies. Fabled Enemies especially because it lays out the international intelligence operation that was 9/11 with role players, not only in our country, within our continuity of government program, but Israel, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia. So if you want to see that film, that is free on my YouTube channel. Just type in Jason Bermas, Bermas. There's a documentary playlist with my other films as well. Now, to get into the subject of where this movement is right now and where it's come from, I want to take you back to the morning of 9/11 for me. You know, I'm a New York guy, but I'm an upstate New York guy. And I had just dropped out of college. You know, I'm a college dropout, beauty school dropout, not the smartest guy, not the most articulate guy. I was working late night in a pizzeria the night before, 4 in the morning. So after the second tower went down, all of a sudden my roommate runs up, Long Island guy, a lot of city guys I knew. And he goes, "The towers are gone." I go, "What are you talking about? The towers are gone?" He goes, "The Twin Towers are gone." Now, this is a place, as a child, I'd been in the building several times. I'd gone on school trips there. My great aunt lived down in Brooklyn, so we would periodically go into Manhattan. And I remember as a child, when you would look up at the World Trade Center, you'd almost get vertigo because they would come in on themselves. They were so massive. So the idea that these twin towers had come down was just insurmountable to me. So I got up, I went downstairs, and by then there were more videos of the towers coming down than the planes going into the buildings because it was so fresh. And immediately, I think explosives. But through what happened with the media over the next several weeks, months, and years, it was very convincing that it was these Islamic terrorists. A lot of people forget that television ended on 9/11. Every single major network went to 24-hour news. You know, VH1 was 24-hour news. MTV was 24-hour news. In fact, that day, my neighbor was outside, and I'll never forget it. He goes, "The towers," and he goes, "Fucking bin Laden." And I just stopped. And I go, "Wait a minute." I go, "How do you know it was Osama bin Laden?" And he goes, "Well, everybody's saying it on the news, and that's what terrorists do." And I go, "Wait, wasn't it a crazy white guy that did Oklahoma City?" And I know we could get into Oklahoma City all day, but at the time, I just used that as, well, what is going on here? So on the way up to the Iraq War, okay, I was pretty accepting of the Afghanistan conflict, but when they started talking about Iraq, I started questioning more. And as I started questioning more, there were other things that didn't quite make sense to me about that day. And we're talking about a year after the attack. The original documentary by the Naudet brothers had just aired. And there were questions in my mind why the lobby was blown out. This is a lobby I'd been in. The glass in the lobby is this thick. There's 10 stories below the World Trade Center, and the lobby looks like it was hit by something. So that triggered something in my brain. But what really sent me over the top was that I had actually gone back to my old high school, where by this time, friends of mine had actually become teachers there. Very small school. This is a middle/high school. I graduated with 54 kids. We're talking about 12-year-olds. So I went there for a men's night basketball game, and we're just playing ball, having a good time. And I go into my old locker room where I used to suit up for soccer and basketball. And in the urinal was Osama bin Laden's face. And it said Operation Enduring Freedom on it. I'm literally pissing on bin Laden. And I think to myself, what is this? There are 12-year-olds in this school. I am a child of the Cold War era, the tail end. Believe it or not, I'm 46 years young, on the tail of 50, and we were still doing the duck and cover drills. I was never pissing on Gorbachev. That wasn't a thing. So I looked at that, and immediately my brain said, you know what? I need to find out what happened that day. I need to make sure that my government has not lied to me yet again. I was one of them rare breeds that when the internet hit me in the late 90s, when I went to college and I had access, the things that I wanted to see were the MK Ultra documents. What could I learn about JFK? And so I didn't want anything to be biased. And I found a website that's still up today, and it is called 911, the numbers, timeline.net. Now, this is not the Paul Thompson timeline that is extremely well put together and put together over the years. Instead, this was basically, and I printed it out because back in the day I didn't love reading on a 19-inch CRT monitor, a 40-page document that essentially took me from 12 a.m. that day to 12 a.m. that day, with a few caveats in the beginning about how much we were spending on defense and how full the planes were. They were pretty empty, which was kind of surprising to me. And I read this thing, and everything's sourced, and there are just a flood of questions that go into my mind. I then look into another website that the same person had put up. I should name him. I believe it's Mark R. Elsis, 911standdown.net. And now we have the question of why planes weren't scrambled in time. And this opened up my mind further. Now, I was a complete digital junkie. I'm a huge pirate. Before torrents were around, I was peer-to-peer all the way. Morpheus, Kazaa, LimeWire. Maybe the younger crowd remembers those. But I wasn't using them to pirate Hollywood movies. I was trying to get all the news footage that I could from 9/11 that people were posting. So I just start collecting these things. And I literally went from somebody who was the crazy guy at the party while we were playing beer pong, questioning 9/11, to somebody that was comprising this information just on little CDR discs, not even DVDs, 700 megabyte CDR, put in your computer with folders on subsequent information that wasn't being revealed about 9/11. And it was through that I met Dylan, Avery, and Corey Rowe. And they had actually already put out a first edition of Loose Change, which I was very, very well aware of through a website called letsroll911.org. When I found their website, it said they were here in Washington, D.C. Never thought I was going to meet them. Turns out they were from Oneonta, the same small New York town that I was in. And while I was running my pizza shop and handing out those discs, my delivery guy goes, hey, I know these guys. I went to high school with them. So they send in, he says, you want me to call Corey? I can have him down here right now. And sure enough, he does. So I talk to Corey Rowe, producer of Loose Change, for about an hour. And he stops me. And he goes, I want you to read the second edition script that we're putting together, because we're putting together another documentary. I can't even believe it. Because, again, 9/11 truth at this point, it's not even on the radar of most people. And this is way pre-social media. So we get together, and, Dylan, he's very skeptical of me at very first, but then he sees my folders full of material, and we just have a bond immediately. When we finally put together the second edition, we were lucky enough to go viral before we even released it. How did we do that? Well, we did it through tenacity and just being at the right place in the right time. We went to a Cindy Sheehan event. God love her. There was someone that really spoke out after the death of her son. And we went there with T-shirts that I had printed up. They weren't quite as fancy as this one that's now 19 years young. That just said investigate 9/11 on it. And we sat in the front row, and we were the first people there, and we had a big camera, Canon XL. Big deal back then. And a Fox News reporter from Binghamton comes up to us. He goes, what is this? What's going on, guys? And so we start to talk to him, and he goes, well, I want to interview all of you. So he interviews the three of us, and before we had even printed up the DVDs, we had two burned ones that we brought with us. One was for Cindy, one was in case. We gave it to the Fox News gentleman. We didn't think much of it. And then the next day, we got a phone call. We can't believe what we just saw. We're going to air this not just tonight, but we're going to air it tomorrow night as well. So again, before YouTube existed, They had this in a WMV format, and they posted it on their page. We crashed their servers multiple times. They had to do a third story. And then we decided the best thing for this information was to try to get it out as much as possible. This wasn't about money. This was about a movement. And we encouraged people to take our discs and burn them and give them to people. And in short order, when people started posting it online on Google Video, because Google didn't always own YouTube, they challenged them first. And all of a sudden, we were in the top 10 of the top 100 7+ times in multiple languages that we had nothing to do with. I tried to use this momentum to build something to the 5th anniversary of 9/11. And I would argue that was the height of the 9/11 truth movement. We are now going through a resurgence of that height. And why do I say that? Because I was able to get 10,000, it wasn't me, it was many of you as well, 10,000 people down to New York City with these t-shirts demanding 9/11 truth. What did the media do? They didn't cover it. They stayed away from ground zero that day. In fact, I debated popular mechanics that morning with Amy Goodman, with Dylan, and I had actually been scheduled on a guy you guys might know, Glenn Beck, when he was on CNN, well before Fox News. Guess what? Glenn Beck canceled me right after that debate, and they just let James Meggs of Popular Mechanics on. Adam Carolla, who may have come around quite a bit, I was on his show, and he told me, well, I just hope that you go back to making pizza. That was the sentiment then. So many of those people have come around. Tucker Carlson was set to release a documentary series today had we not had the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. And with that being said, he went on Piers Morgan this week and talked about the Israeli intelligence angle. This is huge movement. Today, we have not only Kurt Weldon, but we have Dennis Kucinich with us. For those that don't know, Dennis Kucinich ran for president in 2008 alongside Mike Gravel, who was also for 9/11 truth at the moment. But Kucinich, he took it many steps further. He put 30+ articles of impeachment on the Bush administration, the last 3 having to do with 9/11. So in closing, before I announce our next speaker here, I just want to say, I'm going to do everything in my power over the next year to try to bring some type of accountability to the monstrous act that was September 11th, because right now, post-COVID 1984 nightmare, more people than ever are open to the truth, and I hope you join me on that journey and we can make that change.